And we're back, and hopefully you can hear us, and hopefully you catch up to us here just a moment.
I'll give them a few minutes while we
Yeah.
drink from our lovely dysfunctional veterans mugs with the pew 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 bang stick. And y'all will see later why I keep doing that. For those who are like, why is she sounding like an infomercial? Because I'm a hole like that.
All righty. There we go. We got people back in. Sorry about that. Like Nevermore said, we are working with a new feature and learning how to, I don't know what you would call it, get the wrinkles out. So I apologize, but here we are. And Nevermore alluded to it at the beginning, but I'm going to go into it in a little bit in depth. And I want to talk to you about something I'm seeing in the service dog community, and it's really causing problems. In the last week, I have seen two different handlers, one a group of veterans with their service dogs, and another began with a family with a diabetic child and diabetic alert service dog being denied access. And I've seen videos of the access denial, and I have seen them splashed all over social media. And I want to ask you a question. What is the intent of doing this? Because let me tell you what the results of doing it are. And we know this for a fact because we've seen 3 or 4 stories today about the incident in Ogden, Utah. And I'm going to name the restaurant because it's out in the news now because it got splashed all over social media. It's the Bombay restaurant, I believe it's called, in Ogden, Utah. The owner refused to allow 3 or 4 veterans, disabled veterans with their service dogs to eat at his restaurant, going so far as to close the restaurant.
Hello, Virginia Beach.
They put a 48-minute long video of the conversation they had with this man, trying to educate him. And to their credit, and I will give them a lot of credit, none of them got mad. Nobody raised their voices. They tried to calmly explain the law. He absolutely refused and kicked them out. Closed his restaurant. He came back later in the day and opened his restaurant. So it cost him maybe 45 minutes or an hour of the lunch crowd. Okay. However, his Facebook page has been closed because of the hate and backlash. His Yelp review page has been removed by Yelp because of the hate and backlash. The people, the veterans who put the refusal, the denial of access on the internet, claimed that the reason they were doing it was for education. The fact of the matter is, as soon as you put something up like that, especially if the person denying service is of a different national background than, is from another country, you're going to get racial hate. You're going to get hate against ableism. You're going to get, and this is what happened. They got buried, pummeled. The restaurant got pummeled with hate because these veterans put this on social media. That was last week. Fast forward to this week, a few days ago. I'm not sure if the incident happened yesterday or the day before, but family with the diabetic child and the diabetic alert service dog were refused service at a restaurant, and I believe it was Las Vegas. I'm not going to name the restaurant. It's much more active, and there is a news story out there. They got refused service. The manager canceled their order and kicked them out. According to their retelling of events, the dog was perfectly well behaved, laid down during the incident, so it wasn't a matter of misbehavior. It was a matter of complete and total lack of understanding of the ADA. And it was in absolutely, both of these incidents were illegal. It was illegal to discriminate against service dog handlers and refuse to provide them service solely because they had a service dog with them. Okay, that is illegal. These people are perfectly within their rights to try to use the business that is open to the general public with their service dogs, and I support them 100%, support them fully in trying to educate about their rights, okay? Now, the second incident, the family was kicked out. They called a friend who was a service dog trainer, apparently, who came down with 2 more people with service dogs, and they started ranting on social media and made a big, loud stink with their rants on social media, including one of them yelling the name of the restaurant, "We're coming for you." Now, I have to ask myself when I see something like this, what's the point of the video? Think about that. What's the point? I'm going to put on this rant about how I went to JoJo's Bean Palace and they refused to serve me because I had my service dog with me and they said, you can't bring that dog in here. And I tried to explain the ADA and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to rant on social media and nobody go there and boycott JoJo's. You know what? That's perfectly within your rights, but what's your goal? Why are you doing this? What is the point of doing this rant? Because let me tell you what the product is. You may think in the emotional moment when you're doing this, when you're splashing it all over social media, you may think that you're educating, but what you're really doing is inciting hatred.
Hello, Illinois.
Okay, what you're really doing is telling people who have nothing better to do with their time to go to that restaurant's Facebook page, go to their whatever their social media presence is, and blast them with hatred. Hatred is basically not
it's basically the same thing as, okay, you went to a restaurant, let's forget the disabilities and all that, and one waiter was having a bad night, so you get everyone you know on social media to go give them bad reviews, so you hurt the business owner instead of correcting the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the owner who's causing the problem, so I don't understand why you want to go ruin somebody just because you can. Hello, PA.
So again, I want what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to say is this: look, I absolutely support and defend the rights of disabled people to use a service dog as part of the assistance and treatment for Devil Dog. How you doing? Good evening. I absolutely 100% support it. I will go to bat for you. I will go to court with you. I will do whatever it takes to defend your rights correctly.
I can't say his name. I got Roberto. Hello, Roberto.
Roberto Oviedo, detective, NYPD.
Oh, well.
Dog.
I'm not doing nothing.
Anyway, look, if you want help and advocacy in order to educate these businesses, come to PTSDog. I'll provide you all the material I can. I will help you write letters with the proper information. I have done it in the past. There are people who follow this page whom we have helped educate. We go so far, I had a veteran contact the page as he was being denied access at a hotel. Not only did we help him communicate, connected him directly, we found him the number for corporate. While he was in there arguing with the manager, his wife went outside and called corporate, communicating with my page. At the same time, one of my admins contacted the hotel next door. The manager explained the situation that was going on down the hill to the manager. The manager came from his hotel in the pouring rain down to tell the wife, look, if you can't get this resolved, come to our hotel. Okay, real time. I will go to bat for you if you are being discriminated against. What I will not do is
if you get an ass hat, I'm not putting my name on it. I'm just saying.
What I will not do is call out hatred. I do not support that. Somebody accused me. Somebody said, so the Woolworth counter sit-in, that you don't agree with that. They're referring to the civil rights movement. They're referring to 4 young African Americans who sat down at a lunch counter in a Woolworth's convenience store, were refused service because of the color of their skin.
That happened just like up in Greensboro. You know that, right?
Yeah, that happened in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act was passed. and they protested. And that is one of multiple actions that led to the Civil Rights Act, which was passed in 1964. They were protesting to have their right to be treated equally, protected by the law. Guess what? The Americans with Disabilities Act was 30 years later, but it was passed in 1990. And our right to be protected equally has been there, protected by law since 1990.
On my
It
birthday.
already exists. We're not making new laws. We're not protesting to make new laws. We have the protection from the law. So staging a sit-in, look, you go on a stage a sit-in and protest a business for discriminating against you, violating the ADA, go for it, do it. But let me tell you what, I'm going to question your motives if when the restaurant closes the business and says everybody out, you leave instead of staying until you are dragged out in cuffs. That's not a sit-in. I'm going to question your motives because you know what that tells me? You're trying to get enough evidence to be able to sue because you want money, not because you want to guarantee equality.
If you are going to stage a protest and you want to bring up the civil rights protests from the past, those people stayed there until they were drug away by the hairs of their head and locked in cuffs. Now, I'm not saying that I want anything violent to happen to anybody, but in this day and age, you stage a sit-in, you and all your service dogs, you sit outside, you hold a sign, and you sit there quietly. You ain't even got to scream at these people. You just sit there. This store or this business or this restaurant refuses disabled people, and you don't leave. When you leave when they close, that tells me that you weren't in it to win it.
No.
You were in it for pity.
Hate. You were in it to create hate. Bottom line. That's what the goal is with this emotional splash. Oh my God, they're discriminating against me. Guess what? It happens every day. It happens to hundreds and possibly thousands of service dog handlers daily.
And Sam, I agree. They may not have meant to cause it, but the problem is they didn't think about consequences and actions. And when you do something like that and then you go to fight the business in court, if it leads to that, guess what happens? They're going to bring up and they're going to show pages and pages and pages. And they're going to say this all became, instead of them handling this like grown-ups, they went to social media
and educating.
They're probably going to win against you, not for the denial, but they're going to win against you in a countersuit. And that is stupid. Why would you set yourself up? And every team later, because now they're going to be like, oh, here comes a service dog owner. If they whip out a phone. I mean, if it were me, as many phones as have been brought out on me in a business, I would literally be like, oh God, phone, here we go, and get ready for the backlash.
And let me ask you this.
I'm saying some people don't deserve to be shut down, but that's not how you do it. You don't do it by threatening to kill them, kill their family, or burn their business down. Because all that does is make you as bad or if not worse than them.
Let me ask you this. I want you to think about the image of service dog handlers projected when we see these denials of access and these ugly battles and the ranting and these emotional responses on social media splashed everywhere. Okay? Think about the image that provides of service dog handlers. Think about the backlash, okay? Think about this. Well, I'm John's friend, and John managed the, Bob's Baked Beans restaurant, and he refused the access to a service dog handler, and they splashed it all over social media, and the backlash was horrible.
Let's not go postal. There's a detective in the room.
And he got fired. And they shut down the restaurant for 3 days, and it cost thousands of dollars, and they ended up paying $15,000 fee, and all this bad stuff happened because he kicked out a dog that was actually a service dog, wouldn't allow them access. So now I'm afraid to kick out a dog, any dog.
Exactly. Hey, I'm going to read a comment story here.
Yeah.
We'll go with that in a minute. This is from Miss Mel. I had an incident a couple years ago. The owner of a restaurant made us sit out in the patio area, which was fine as it was a nice night. But when we tried to explain to him that we had a right to sit inside, he was argumentative and pretty much threatening. We let it go because we just wanted to eat. As we left, I kindly handed him an ADA educational card and asked that he would look into the laws more. Afterwards, I wrote a review about it, and I thought I was only being factual about the encounter. However, social media either bashed the restaurant or crucified me. It wasn't at all for what I was aiming for. I had to delete the post because it just went into an ugly direction. And you're right. Just because you're the victim, Mel, does not mean it will always go the right way for you. Um, I get what you're saying. We had a hotel that told us that we had to be in a specialized room that was made just for when people have service dogs, and we're like, and they had a sign that said service dogs in this like special room, and we were like, no, you can't do that. We have to be put in the room you originally intended. And they're like, well, we are talking about having to clean. I'm like, well, you should be cleaning these covers anyway. That's how you get bed bugs. That's nasty. But we did not take a picture and blast it on social media. We took a picture, but that was to deal with the business afterward. When he talked to the hotel management, we did not get segregated into another room. They had no choice when he pointed out the ADA, but when he spoke to the owner, the sign got removed. He didn't have to go to this level and this level. It would have never went to social media. That literally would have been saved for court. Nothing more, nothing less, if that's what need be. And I'm not talking sue for money. I'm talking about they need to be held accountable so that people can go in without having problems. But had we have took to social media, this little mom and pop hotel probably wouldn't even be left standing at this point.
And that's not the goal. Look, think about it. Think about the atmosphere of fear, of resentment that you create when you do this, when you splash it all over social media. Go get them, guys. We're going to take these guys down because they denied us access. Think about what the atmosphere that creates. Who learns anything from that? What you're teaching them, what you're teaching any manager who pays attention to the news, what you're teaching any business owner, what you're teaching anybody who sees this happen is this is how we're going to get treated publicly if we even ask about a service dog. And guess where the Fifi, the Wonder Poodle, peeing in the aisles of the grocery store and snapping at children, guess where that problem came from?
Entitlement, because businesses are terrified
to be sued for simply asking the two questions mandated by the law, not allowed. The law mandates exactly what the questions are. Is that a service dog required because of a disability? And what tasks is the dog trained to perform?
Okay, so
we're terrified.
He's not on his
like this.
You're not on your phone, so I'm going to tell in our admin chat. I'm going to tell Apache's story. He doesn't like being out there, so I'll read it from here and just use Apache. But he says he agrees on the culture being more harmful than helpful. When they had hotel access issues, they handled it through the proper channels and it got taken care of. To this day, not even his family knows what hotel did what to him. And that's just it. It could be a bad employee. It can be an employee that hates animals, hates dogs. They could be acting out of their own thing, just like, all right, I'll give you a good example. Here recently, last October or November, a sign was placed in a bar in Colorado by employees who were anti-military that they would not serve veterans or military, okay? That went to social media and about ruined the bar when the bar had the employees, the minute they found out about it, terminated. The owners did not condone that behavior. This was done out by two employees that really had no authority, no say, that just was anti-military. Okay. And I read a story not long ago that a business employee pretty much threw drive-through food at a police officer when she realized, and he pulled up in a police car, like police aren't supposed to eat apparently. So she literally throws this stuff out at this police officer. He never put anything out. The agency simply contacted the business. The business is the dum-dums that told on themselves and posted a public apology about this lady no longer working there after throwing I want to say it was like a milkshake or something upside the police car. She could have been charged for that. It's just, it going through social media or being a turd and doing it aggressively just is not going to get you anywhere. And I understand if that's the last resort and we didn't have any other way. But guess what we do? It's not like, okay, I'm going to use this example and my beliefs have nothing to do with this. But the bakery that denied the cake for a same-sex couple, okay? They have the right to deny service. The same-sex couple does not have a immediate you go report this because they're disabled or an immediate go report this because of race, okay? They had to go through a long drawn out court battle. But because of the social media that went along with this, it literally tore everybody's thoughts into two different sides, okay? You've got the one half that's like, it's against his religion. He doesn't want to do this. And then you've got the other half that basically they shut the shop down for 3 months because people tried to kill them. To me, there was no winner in that situation, no matter how it was handled, because of the way it was presented. All right. But we do have options. We have local, state, and federal government agencies that come in and make sure that handicap ramps are there, that there are handicap access stalls, that people aren't being discriminated against when they're disabled. You have to have so many handicapped parking spaces. I get these inspections all the time. We have outlets. We do not need to go and destroy somebody just because we can.
Mm-hmm.
I know it could be spur of the moment, and I know, but I've never posted something and not know that I was posting it. So if you're that heated, the best thing you can do is put your damn phone down.
Yep.
Cool off. Contact somebody that, if you don't know, you're new, you trained your own service dog, and there are people that have trained service dogs legitimately by the ADA. They're completely legit, but they haven't got a clue about their actual rights, because that's the one thing that comes with when you keep yourself isolated and not on like social media platforms and stuff in the community. They have no absolute idea. I had a lady that was bringing her what she called emotional support animal, because that's what she was told is the right thing to do. One conversation with her, and I was like, you realize you just defined a service animal and not an emotional support animal, that you're giving me a task that's not makes me feel better. You literally said your dog boops you in the back of the leg of an ongoing anxiety attack because you actually black out because your panics are so bad. And when she does that, you leave and you go regroup and you do decompression with your dog. That's not an emotional support animal. All this time she was using that wording because of the false bullcrap on these registration websites, because she had no idea where to even go look. Now, I know you're going, well, how can you not know about the ADA? They probably do, but they probably don't think that there's a section in there about your rights with a service dog, because there's not really a section in there dedicated to, what wheelchair you can and can't use. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't occur to people.
That's why there's a book.
Well, yeah, but not everybody knows that stuff's out there. And this was an older lady who had no clue about social media anyway. Yeah. So, try adding being isolated in your 60s. Don't, that's not one of those things where they have that information sitting at their fingertips.
Mm-hmm. Look, I've been denied access. I've lost my temper. I have blown my top. I have left yelling and screaming. I get emotional too. It's demeaning. It's degrading. It's insulting. It can be very, very, and I hate this word, but when you have PTSD and things get to that point, it can be triggering. You're gone. You're in the fight or flight response. You're ready to fight. You're ready for battle.
I want to say it's activated.
It's activated. There you go. It can be activating.
Note
Okay.
to self, you need to change the chat so I can read it on this screen.
Change what?
The colors when we do this again. Write that down.
No.
Well, we both have PTSD. Who's going to remember?
Exactly. I get it. Look, nobody's gonna go to bat for you harder than I will. I will absolutely defend your rights. 100%, to the point where I piss off other service dog handlers, because I refuse to surrender my rights for the sake of
Excuse me. Hey, Mel. Can I share some of the things? I know what you're talking about positive, but can I share some of the things that in your attempt to show and highlight the positives of great days with service dogs, some of the things that of the backlash that you get? Do you mind? I want your permission first.
Okay. You know what? What was I saying? I will go to bat for you. Okay. I will defend your rights to the degree that I piss off other members of the service dog community, because I don't think that a little tiny bit of what you perceive as convenience by using a registry or some kind of certification and surrendering your rights, I don't agree with that. It's not convenient to surrender your rights. And that, you know what? There are people in the service dog community who hate me, because I absolutely refuse to concede in any way, shape, or form. Using a national registry to make it more convenient, surrendering your rights.
We literally get told that that you're not allowed to have a disagreeing opinion. We've allowed constructive conversations about it. But when you get to the point that you say that the only thing that's going to solve this is a registry, and then you start name calling and bashing the other members because they don't feel the same way, that's no longer constructive criticism or a argument. In a grown-up adult argument, it's fine to state your opinion, but if you can't listen to other people's opinions, I don't got any time for you in there. And sometimes it's like talking to a stupid brick. Literally, you're talking to the brick and the brick is not going to answer because it can't hear you. All right, so what I was going to discuss is Mel points out that as much as we only see bad, she tries to highlight the good. I'm not going to give out her page info and stuff like that, but she has a place where she shares her adventures with her service dog, Argos, who, by the way, has the best ears in the entire world. His ears
can pick up 173 channels right now.
His ears actually have their own personality and do what they want. She's even been bashed for that because she doesn't correct his ears. I mean, but what they do is like she's a runner. She runs. Bless her little heart. She runs. I can't run, but she runs. And Argos runs with her. He is a Dutch Shepherd. He is what you see out of a lot of police dogs, that high energy, that high drive. If she did not give Argos that outlet, he would destroy everything, even with a cone on his head. Right now he's in the cone, bless his little heart. But he would destroy everything. They have to be exercised. They have to burn energy. Suddenly, Facebook's full of experts that know every single dog breed, and they shame her and say she's forcing this dog to run. Have you ever tried to make a dog walk that doesn't want to walk? Do you know what that looks like? They're usually on their back with their legs in the air and you're dragging them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's not wearing a shock collar. He's not being reprimanded negatively in any shape or form. I should know. I follow the page and I watch all the little videos and clips. I know what equipment he's wearing. She gets publicly shamed because she is forcing this animal to run. Yeah, ask her what it's been like for the past week or however long it's been with Mr. Conehead, how miserable he's been because he can't run. So mean mama forcing this doggy, and they talk about his size, and they've even went as far as to tell her that she's not giving him the correct diet because she will not correct his ears. She's kind of like me. I have my little pibble. I did not crop her ears and I did not crop her tail. I said it will be what it'll be. Now, I have no doubt she's probably going to break her tail and it's probably going to get cropped because that thing's like a whip and it's everywhere. She shuts it in her own kennel. She's going to break her tail, but until that day comes, she gets to keep her tail.
Until it is a medical necessity. Cropping ears is not a medical necessity. Cropping tails is not a medical necessity.
And correcting and taping and all of this stuff that you can do to shepherds and other ones' ears, she just doesn't want to do. It's basically for looks. There is no purpose if his ears don't stand up exactly even and straight. If they want to do this, which they do this sometimes, they're my dowsing rods. They go this away and they go this away and they go this away when there's water. That's how she knows when a pond's coming up. Hold tight so she doesn't get drug in there. But on a serious note, she's not hurting this dog. She knows this breed, or she wouldn't have. This is one of those breeds that, unless you have ever had one or know what you're getting into, look out, because here it comes. Normally, and I've not raised a Dutch Shepherd, but I've raised a Shepherd who was trained to be a police dog. Ate the blinds, ate the door, made a new hole in the wall into the kitchen because he couldn't get into the kitchen for his food when he wanted it. And when I say made a hole, I don't mean made a hole. I mean made a hole the size of a door. All kinds of things. And we finally figured out he was not burning enough energy. We thought those puppy days were over. He was 2 years old. No, 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 no. No. She understands this breed if she wants to run with it, but she takes a lot of hate. So she gets to sit and be torn between, do I show the good and live with the hate and make myself feel bad? Or do I stop showing it all? And luckily, I'm hoping she continues to show the good, because there's no rule that says service dogs can't run. There's no rule that says service dogs can't mountain climb. There's no rule that says service dogs can't surf. Okay? Know your dog, know what they're capable of. Would I dare take Boogie in a kayak? No, because we're going to drown. She's going to drown us both. Would I take Skeeter through a desert run? No, because he's so furry, I'm going to have to carry him, and I can't carry 100 pounds across the desert. Know what you're doing. And if you see that person, unless that dog is limping, dying, about to keel over, mind your own business. They probably know 10 times more about their dog than you do. Like, the fact he's beautiful, we kind of already know that.
Back to the subject at hand, dealing with access issues appropriately. Look, we get it.
My DV store. Pew, pew, pew.
We get it. We know what it's like to be denied access. We know what it's like when you're trying to just live your life with your service dog, go places, and you're told, I'm sorry, you can't bring that dog in here. We get it. We know how embarrassing it is. We know how humiliating it is.
Oh, it's probably the most excruciating feeling when you're standing there and there's like 12 other people behind you, and you're having to explain to why you should be treated the same as the people behind you just because you have a service dog.
Yeah.
It's very humiliating. The first time it ever happened, I was standing there going, wait, this really does happen. Until it happens to you, you're like, oh my God, people really are this ignorant. Mm-hmm. It happens.
We get it. It's happened to us. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, when you blast it on social media, what is your point? What is the goal? Because everybody, I'm sorry, unless you live in a cave and just discovered Facebook, everybody knows when you blast a negative experience on social media, there's one goal, and that's to direct hate towards that place, towards that business. That doesn't teach anybody anything. And I'm gonna go back to the point I was making earlier. When you do that, when you see the backlash that happened at Bob's Bean Palace, And the way he was treated on social media, and he ended up getting fined, and he ended up having to shut down his business, and all his reviews and the Facebook page is gone, and all, when you see the backlash as another business owner, you say, if I deny service dog, if I deny anybody with a dog, and then that's going to happen to me. Where do you think the untrained dog in public places problem started? It started because for two reasons. A business owner didn't understand the ADA and asked inappropriate questions, and were rightfully reported, and there was probably a lawsuit, and it cost them a lot of money. Okay.
Florida's calling me. Should I answer and see if it's a spammer?
The second thing, the second way it started, okay, was somebody with their little pet Fifi the Wonder Poodle, who was not trained, saw that the service dog handler, the disabled person with a task trained service dog, was allowed to go into the business, and said, I want to bring Fifi everywhere with me. And heard that business owner ask the appropriate questions. Is that a service dog trained to assist with a disability? If so, what tasks is it trained to perform?
That's Argos. Look at him. Look at him. Does he look like he's unhappy? Look how derpy he is. I'm sorry, I had to show my favorite picture.
All right. So that person said, I'm going to claim that Fifi the Wonder Poodle is a service dog. Okay. And right around that same time, that lawsuit happened, and that business owner saw what happened to Bob's Bean Palace and how much it cost him for discriminating, for discriminatorily disallowing access with a service dog. Okay. And so Bob's buddy, who's managing this other store, sees, Karen with Fifi the Wonder Poodle come in, and Fifi is a hot mess, snapping at people, peeing in the aisle, sticking its nose in the displays. Okay. Not trained, not a service dog. But he's afraid because he saw what happened to Bob.
I'm waiting for you to accidentally say Bob's Burgers, because you've been saying Bean Palace and let's get copyrighted.
Bob's Bean Palace, because that's copyrighted. Look, all you're doing is perpetuating negative imagery of service dog handlers. When you splash it on social media, we're being denied access. We're going to sue these people. Blah, 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 blah.
I can give you a good example, and this just happened recently. Okay. Y'all remember, again, this has nothing to do with my personal views. This is exactly what happened on Facebook. Do you remember the GameStop video with Ma'am? Okay. I work in a place where you apprehend shoplifters. Okay. My partner apprehended somebody where the gender was not known. He was terrified to ask what's the appropriate response, because he literally looked at me and said, I don't want a GameStop to happen. Same effect. One person makes it think that everybody else is going to go batshit crazy at you, and that if you deny anything, deny access to a not service dog, that's what's going to happen. All it takes is one to go flooding across the Facebook, the book face, whatever, and then you see 500 other people going, if I do that, that's what's going to happen. That stuff catches on, and it goes, not always, but it usually goes viral, because you're going to get those activists that push it.
Yep.
And when they do, they have millions and millions of people reach. What do you want? I mean, I don't know what you expect a business to do when they've seen 10 bad videos and they realize that each business got shut down, burnt down, somebody shot at the owner, or the reviews went so bad nobody would come there anymore. What do? You let the dog come in, because you're not going to face that. And people threaten it. I've had people threaten it. I just encountered one a couple of weeks ago, and they literally flipped their phone up and they're like, what is your name? And I gave them my name. I said, and I'm from PTSDog, and that is not a service animal. It just lunged at people. It barked its full head off, and it just peed and marked on my ice machine. You're not coming in with it. And they're like, discrimination. I'm like, try it with a lawyer. Not everybody's willing to take that chance. Nobody wants to look like that. I mean, I don't care if I look like a crazy person, because I am a crazy person. But not everybody wants to stick their neck out there.
Now, I'm going to contradict myself. We just spent almost an hour talking about not calling out businesses. Uh, okay, we just spent almost an hour talking about not calling out businesses. I call businesses out on my page for positive ADA interactions. I go out of my way every time I have a positive experience. The last live we did, we told you guys about having dinner at the restaurant with the couple who tried to get us kicked out because they didn't like my service dog, and the waiter refused. And we came and told you, I can't remember the name of the restaurant now, but we came and told you about it and said thank you. We gave that young man a very nice tip because he stood up for my rights. And with my hearing loss, I didn't even hear the people ranting about having a dog in there. Nevermore did. I didn't hear it. Okay. I'm glad I didn't, because I probably would have gotten very angry. You know, and there's a couple of other things I want to talk to you about whipping this out in an access issue. Depending on what state you're in, okay, depending on where you are, if it is a two-party state and the other party does not consent, you're breaking the law. And this will get you into more trouble than the business is going to get into for denying you access. I realize that sometimes we have to do it for our own protection. But when you do this and start recording, what you're telling that person is, oh God, this is going to end up viral. And they back off when they should say, no, you cannot bring that dog in. It is out of control. It does not meet the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Please remove the dog that's biting and snapping. Okay? They're going to back off because they're afraid of being sued. When you do this, when you whip this out, you create the untrained dogs in public access situations, causing dangerous problems for handlers, for legitimate handlers, by causing fear. Plain and simple. What you're doing is creating an atmosphere of fear that perpetuates what is not a fake service dog problem. There's nothing fake at all about the dogs. It's just a dog. It's the person that's the problem. We just lost Nevermore. Okay, it's the person that's the problem. And that's, look, Jeff made a point. Businesses need to be educated that they can ask that any dog that is not under control leave.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My headset's killing me, and I don't have time to reset up everything, so I'm doing the best I can. God bless trigeminal neuralgia, but it's hurting on this side. Maybe let me see if I can switch this backwards.
And again, if you need support because you've been discriminated against and you've been illegally discriminated against and illegally denied access to a business, I'll back you 100% if we do it correctly. I will find you who to report it to in your state. We start at the state level. I'll find you the corporate numbers. If it's a local owned business, we'll look and see if your city or town has a equal opportunities office or an accessibility office. I will go, my squad and we will go to the ends of the earth to discover who you need to talk to get the information to the right people to file a report. We need to write letters. Do we need to, to educate, not to punish, not to create mayhem. Okay. What's the point of whipping out your camera and blasting it on social media? That doesn't teach anybody.
No, we haven't been to really any fairs with Skeeter. Most of the stuff here isn't until fall, and last year I didn't really have time because I had so much going on. We are going to try to go to this year, and I might hit the state fair. Our fair's like I don't know. I've heard this a couple of, from different people. Are fairs a huge problem with access? Because I feel like that's like a trending thing here in the past little bit.
What I've seen is that I've seen several instances of handlers messaging the Facebook page of the organizers of a fair, and whoever their social media person is doesn't understand the law, and they give them the wrong answer, and then they come try to blast the fair on social media rather than saying, "Here's the law," and educating.
Now what I'm talking about, I've actually seen them at the fair gates, and scenes have been made, and stuff like that. If you, in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, if you pre-message a business asking, "Do you have access?" Well, what's your point? Because you have access.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
can't tell you no. I mean, they can, but I don't pre-ask just because the person answering me is usually just somebody who runs Facebook and
No.
doesn't doesn't even associate with the fair and are a bunch of dum-dums. So I tend to not, like, my mom's bad about that. She just wants to make sure it goes smooth as possible. And I always tell her to stop. She likes to ask if we're going out to eat prior to us going, do they allow service dogs? I'm like, Mom, they have to allow service dogs. But she just doesn't want us to be embarrassed. Agricultural expos. You know, we actually have in Greensboro an agricultural fair. That might be a good time to test it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't ride rides and stuff, but I mean, I can
Well,
go
but
look at the cows, I guess.
look, if you're actually a legitimate service dog handler, you're a disabled person and you use a task trained service dog to assist you with your disabilities, you're probably going to be sure that your service dog is up on their shots.
Well, no, I'm just curious because now he's got me curious because,
Now,
especially in like cities and stuff, I wonder if there's a
mhm,
problem with that because this is country folk coming to the city.
mhm,
And, there may not be service dogs in their town where they're from and stuff like that because, service dogs, while getting more and more visibility, still aren't everywhere.
yeah,
That's why we have the problems we have because people think that, that's just 95% of it, unless you're blind,
mhm,
the service dog's not real.
yeah,
I've still got people, well, you can see. Well, hallelujah, there's one less thing I got to worry about.
yeah. Uh, Jeff, whether or not it's an agricultural expo, the ADA is clear they can't ask you. They can't ask you for the dog shots. If they do, they're violating the law. But the other side of that coin is, as a responsible handler who understands the law or should, your dog's going to be up to date on their shots. If, for example, rabies nationwide, if you get the rabies shot legally, um, you have to, it is the law nationwide, you have to get the tag that shows that you got the rabies shot. Okay.
And Mel just made a
So,
good point. If you are in a place like at the Renaissance Fair, there is a greyhound rescue, okay? These greyhounds have been abused and stuff. That's probably an area we wouldn't want to take Skeeter to. She's bringing up that she went to a place and she could tell that the fowl were nervous. The dog was behaving. So they left because they were upsetting the animals and not vice versa. It's the same
but
as,
that's being a responsible
yeah.
handler,
And
you
I
know?
wouldn't take Skeeter into I don't know. I don't even know if I would take him to a zoo. I haven't tried. I don't know how he would act. I know he would behave, but I don't know what the animals would think of him because Skeeter is nosy and he would see a tiger and be like, "I want to be friends." Hello, friend. That
Jeff,
would be Skeeter.
Jeff, regarding the fair question. So the meeting you went to, they're concerned because all the other animals that come to the fair have to have show papers for proper vaccinations. Those other animals are not service dogs; they're livestock. There is a difference. There is a legal difference, and that's the and that's the thing that that's the thing they need to understand is a service dog is not a pet. It is not livestock legally. according to the way the law is written, a service dog is medical equipment. Okay.
And I get what he's saying though, because my grandfather, I grew up on a farm in the back, up in the Appalachian Mountains. So you have to have certain papers to be able to show your prize cow, your prize pig, your prize chicken, or whatever, because they can spread diseases. But I get where they're trying to say, well, these animals, but you're not there to show your service dog. You're not entering it in for a competition. So there's no
Right.
reason that, by law that you have to show anything. But if this is an ongoing thing that you're meeting about, I would love for you to keep us updated though.
And if you need any support,
If you don't mind.
if you need any medical, if you need any of the, references, if you need to look up a certain part of the law and you're having trouble finding it, by all means, message the PTS Dog page. That's what we do. That's why we're here. You can also call the 800 number at the bottom of the frequently asked questions page. I don't know if I can switch to that window without losing the broadcast. You can call that number and ask them.
I don't know if zoos can deny you access or not.
Yes, zoos can deny you access to certain areas.
Okay.
Because it fundamentally alters the ability of the zoo to provide their service, which is to see certain animals. One example is primates are terrified.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I can understand that.
You can't take your service dog to certain exhibits.
Okay, I get that. Like you wouldn't want to, at the zoo that's close here, there is a where you can walk in with parrots. I wouldn't take him in where the birds are able to fly up to you.
Or what about tigers, who see him as a prey, see the service dog as a prey item,
as lunch.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff, any references you need? If you need help finding references, you can contact us. Also, the ADA hotline at the bottom of the frequently asked questions on ada.gov. Call them. That's what they do. I know a lot about the ADA. I'm very well versed in it. I've read it extensively, but these people actually are trained and certified to answer these kind of questions. That's exactly the kind of question that 800 number at the bottom of the ADA's frequently asked questions for the hotline. That's exactly the kind of question they're there to answer. So by all means, and I'm not saying don't ask us, but you know what? Ultimately, if I can't find it, guess what I do? Call the 800 number. The resource is there. It's free. You explain the situation. They're fast. They whip up the law and start bam, 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 and knocking it out. They're good. They're really good. So by all means, that resource, I use it. I have used it. I used that. I called them about 15 times to confirm facts that went into the book. We're going to move on from access. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a preface.
Give me a face break when you keep talking.
Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of preface and a little bit of history. This show has been around for about 3 years now. Well, Sam, that's your zoo, and that's great. That's great. That's cool. We're gonna switch. We're gonna switch gears. Okay.
If you have any service dog questions, we'll catch them as we get into here. But right now, and y'all see that I'm actually have had cigarettes on this live. I don't normally do that, but it's been a crappy couple of days watching other veterans gloat over this destruction of a 1.8 million followed page and 1.8 million people that are friends, family, vets, first responders, or whatever, left with no place to reach out and seek help for suicide. So that's why I've been smoking this episode. It's not my norm.
So a little bit of history. If you follow PTS Dog, 3 years ago, this page just got started and nobody knew who I was. Nobody followed me, and I had no reach. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I was just shouting out into nothing. And I reached out and started publishing my posts to a couple of large veterans pages on Facebook. The largest being,
When he says reach out, he means he'd spammed us daily and weekly. And whoo, I finally gave him a chance because he annoyed the shit out of me, honestly, if you want to know the truth.
I didn't give up. I had a
And
mission,
here we
I had a
are.
message, and I didn't give up. And Nevermore picked me up, interviewed me on her radio show, and recommended that I talk to dysfunctional veterans on Barracks Talk on Saturday night.
I'm pretty sure I set that up for you, actually.
Yeah, you actually set up the interview for DV Radio on dvradio.net. And they interviewed me, and DV6 at the end of the interview said, "This is a great idea. This is a great project. You've got our full support." And they never stopped. I've had the full support of 1.8 million viewers, followers from the Dysfunctional Veterans page. And PTSDog wouldn't exist. The book would not be here. I would not have got that project finished. I would not be working on the next two projects. The children's book, which I don't know if she's watching or if she's seen it, but I'm going to get back to the artist. I'll get back to you. I apologize. It's been a rough week. But none of this would exist. You wouldn't have the information we put out. You wouldn't have the support that we provide. You wouldn't have the moderator squad who tries to help when people are in distress and they reach out to the page because they need to talk to somebody. You
And by
wouldn't
the
have
way,
any of them
guys,
if it wasn't for DV, dysfunctional.
by the way,
veterans.
before anybody goes, well, now you're on a veteran subject, it does affect veterans, but it also affects any spouse, mother, father, child that had a place to go ask questions about why their veteran was going through what they were going through. All of that is gone. Most pages will not take civilians of any form. All of that is gone. Gone right now.
Now, we're not going to talk about Facebook censorship. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Blue Falcons. Blue Falcon is a military term for the guy that likes to stab his buddy in the back.
He said it nicely, but that's not exactly what it means, but that's a loose
The
interpretation.
military use more creative words.
All right, so here is why I've been angry. On pages that I've seen that tried to leech off of dysfunctional the wrong way. Dysfunctional supports you all day long, but it's a two-way street. You don't just go over there and drop your page in every single post and look like a maniac spamming. Okay. Even JJ there wasn't that bad. He stayed to the visitor side and did it once or twice a day. But so now all over the little veteran world is I'm glad they're gone, making fun. So you help vets, but you're glad that a main source that is the reason that you have a foundation to stand on today is gone. That's the message that you all that are out there posting what you're posting, like them or hate them, that doesn't matter. They had a mission. They still have a mission. There is still a DV farm. There is still a DV radio. There is still a DV store. Everybody's like, they're just selling t-shirts. No, they're not. This keeps homeless veterans that are with addictions off the streets. That's how they stay going. This little mug right here and the shirts, and these are old school shirts. You can't get these like this anymore because, we're old farts and we have hung on to them. They don't even have the logo on the front. I don't think anymore, any of them. Everything that everyone has been gloating about, exactly at the end of the day when we're supposed to all have a common goal, you just showed your true colors. And I'm pretty disappointed. You're just as divided as any other community when you want to sit there and say that you're better. If you guys want to get more into the ones thing that is going on, tune in Saturday night, this coming Saturday, which would be, since I don't have a calendar and I'm never prepared, Well, it's every Saturday, but this Saturday, the 15th, at 9 p.m. Eastern, if you go over to tvradio.net, which is WDVR, they will be having a show explaining about what all they're battling and what's going on. If you want to know why they got taken down for raffling, since I can't even say it, a pew 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 as an incentive to sell merchandise from a legalized gun dealership. They actually were not the ones who were holding said pew pew pew. The authorized dealership had said pew 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 pew, and they are a store and entity. And it doesn't violate Facebook standards, but Facebook changed their mind, and apparently it does now. It's in appeals. We don't know what's going to happen. They may have to rebuild. They do currently have a backup spot. It's called Veteran Humor. Um, but as of right now, nothing. It's gone, but it ain't over. It's far from over.
Look, whether you support and like dysfunctional veterans or not really doesn't matter. What the real issue is that a support network that has helped save a lot of veterans' lives when they needed to go somewhere and vent was removed. And now a lot of smaller pages are scrambling to try to be able to provide the same level of support. And
we don't mean the Blue
they're
Falcon
failing.
pages, because they literally will sit there and go, I'm glad they're gone. And all of those veterans are stereotyping, blah, 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 blah. And then turn around. Hey, if you need to reach out, talk. No offense, but after you just bashed veterans with mental illnesses, nobody wants to talk to you.
Yeah. So that resources has been stunted. And that's terrible. That's terrible because no matter what else you think about dysfunctional veterans, they have always done everything they can to provide resources to veterans in crisis. Always. Since the very beginning. DV6, Mike Rivers, started getting messages when he very first started the page way back when. It was a while ago. From veterans going, I love your humor, man. I'm having a really, really tough time. Can you help me out? Do you know who I can talk to? And he built a support network of moderators who are on that page 24/7 in order to answer those questions and get those veterans the help they need and get them to the people who have the training to communicate with them if they're suicidal. Okay. And that's gone. You shouldn't be gloating. You should be busting your ass to make sure that your brothers and sisters have the same kind of support.
Even if you don't like them.
Veterans. I support the DV farm. I use DV radio. DV radio is where my radio show is at. None of PTSDog would exist without the organization. Whether or not I agree with a lot of the things that get posted on their page doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they have had my back. I owe them nothing less. Sorry, Nevermore.
No, you're fine. So for anyone who, and you probably can't see that, this would be, can you see all that? The original Nevermore. Nevermoreness here has finally made her way back to her actual social media. I decided I wasn't going back to a big page. I was going to do my own thing because I don't like censorship. And I don't mind going on somebody else's show or even this live, but I can't always say what I want because then I'm speaking on somebody else's behalf. So come over there. Civilians, y'all welcome. I don't post crude stuff. Most of my stuff is just music or just making fun of like your body having a check engine light. Stuff like that. It's not like some of the pages where there's rough, monstrous, hideous. It's just my way of not lashing out, I guess would be the word, but being able to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and can't nobody really stop me except Facebook. Censorship.
All right. If we don't have any more service dog questions, I appreciate you guys hanging around. I know we changed the subject. Hey, Ajax Malamute, how you doing, brother? Yeah, I feel the same way, man. I know we changed the subject, but we are also veterans, and this is an effect to our community. And
It's
you
an
know,
effect to anybody
we're
that's
pretty
in the
upset.
PT. It's
We're pretty
actually
upset.
it affects anybody in the PTSD community because if we are on the list, what stops the civilians that have groups and pages? Y'all are next. Nobody likes a light being brought to something in a way that we are able to deal with it. All right. We look at the world a little bit different. And if you think that you're safe just because you're not a veteran or because you don't do this or don't do that, that's not true. All it takes is a couple of people to get together, just like we were talking about for the service dogs. A little bit of people on social media and a lot of hate starts. This isn't the end. This is literally an attack on anybody that's different than what their personal opinions are. And it's not going to end. It's not going to end anytime soon. And unfortunately, there's not a really great platform to put out what we need to put out right now. And we can't just up and leave to these like MeWe or whatever these other pages are because they're not that great. They're still glitchy, they're new, and they're hard to navigate. And we can't leave y'all just because we're vets and we might get shut down.
And if you don't think that PTS Dog is at risk, I have seen in our page stats that Facebook shows our reach over the last 3 months go from over 100,000 down steadily. Why?
And we don't even post freaking veteran stuff 95% of the time.
We don't do the politics. We don't engage in any of that. Why is our reach going down? Is it because I don't pay Facebook for reach? No, I don't think so. I think it's because I'm not afraid to say I'm a veteran. And
that,
you know what?
we don't agree with the whole registration thing. That puts a damper on things. People report us because we don't agree with them.
Yeah. You know what? You're not going to convince me to agree that it's okay to take your rights away, whether you want to give them or not. I'm not going to agree. People died to ensure equality under the law in the United States of America. People who wore the uniform, like I did, like Nevermore did, died to defend those rights, to continue to guarantee that those freedoms continue to exist and continue to be protected by the law.
Like I said,
and now you think you're going to convince me that just giving up the rights for the sake of convenience is a good idea?
Like I said, love or hate the situation that's going on at hand, but censorship, and I'm not going to go too far into it because I don't really want to get us flagged, but it's coming. And it's going to come to the point where we can't even defend anybody with a service dog or guide them because we're not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm not an Instagrammer. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't do that kind of crap. I'm not going to do it. That takes a lot of time, and I have other things I have to do. I like Facebook. It's quick. It's convenient. I can hop on here. I can talk to y'all. We can do our posts, whatever. I've tried a couple of other avenues, and they just don't work as well. And I don't want to stop the message. And I'm not going to until they kick our tail ends right off of here either.
Yep. That's just it. We'll keep fighting. We'll keep working.
We know it's here.
Eliminate accuracy.
We know censorship is here, but what you can't get through to some people is if you don't start toning it down and taking your stuff down to PG-13 isn't even acceptable. PG, and yeah, I get it. That meme is hilarious. It's awesome, but you're just making it harder on yourself. Yeah, we've stopped allowing a lot of crap because we have no choice. When Facebook dings say we get a troll that comes into our group and they start making posts that are very offensive and they get reported or the bots get them. We take the ding for that too. We don't get the ban, but it flags our page as a hate page. That's why when you're like, well, you took my post down, we have no choice. Everybody's like, somebody reported me. No, the bots got you. There are certain words that flag, there are certain things that flag. All it takes is a handful, 5 people to join a group, and they can tear it apart with reporting. That's all it takes.
And pages.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as freedom of speech. Apparently not, because they get to shut down your freedom of speech on Facebook.
Facebook is a privately owned entity. It is the freedom of speech. The First Amendment guarantees your right to freedom of speech. It protects you from the government censoring you, not a private company. Read the First Amendment. Okay, it protects your rights from the government, not from Facebook. Now, they tried to pass a net neutrality equality law. They've tried to pass it a couple times. That would establish a First Amendment type freedom of speech on the internet. It's never passed. It doesn't exist in the United States yet.
Well, the reason it didn't pass is because some of the wording was more restricting than what it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, everybody cries about the First Amendment. My freedom of speech doesn't exist on private platforms. Or, Facebook is a public business, a publicly owned business. It has stocks and everything, but that company can determine what its policies are. My issue with Facebook is that there are published rules, but they arbitrarily move the goalposts to suit them, to suit their agenda. They don't just stick to the rules when they decide it. Like Nevermore said, DV did a raffle via T-shirt sales for a pew-pew, for a Second Amendment delivery device from a licensed Second Amendment delivery device dealer to be delivered to the winner legally. Okay.
Followed all the rules. They even got permission. They even got permission through Facebook before they did this to make sure, because they've been shut down before. And after it was over and Pew Pew Bang Stick got delivered, they got shut down.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't break any laws or Facebook policy.
You can go and read the Pew Pew Bang Stick rule on Facebook, and it says, and it's not even if you're a licensed Pew Pew dealership. It says if you're a business and follow the state and federal regulations. Well, see, you can do a contest for a Pew Pew Bang Stick because there is a licensed Pew Pew Bang Stick person that is handling the transfer of said Pew Pew. Pew Pew can be transferred legally by sending it to another licensed Pew Pew. Then you have to go to that shop and you have to apply, depending on what that state's law is, for said Pew Pew. If you get denied, you don't even get to keep the Pew Pew out of the contest. They don't just give it to you. It's not like walking in, hey, I win a contest. I've been legally diagnosed with, not being able to be mentally competent, but it's not like you can just go get it because you can. You still have to follow the rules. You still have to follow the laws. You didn't just get it. So it's not like they just took it and walked it down the street and just handed it to Joe Schmo on the corner. They did it the right way with the Pew Pew.
Yep. Moving the goalposts is a problem. And unfortunately, the goalpost seems to be moving closer and closer to veterans specifically being silenced for no reason other than what? We're unabashedly unafraid to be honest.
And another thing, there's a reason why we're not over on YouTube. Now, if you state that you are a veteran, you're considered a bully. And that if you openly say, they're saying you're being a bully because you're stating that you're better than the rest of the audience. So you can't even go over there and declare veteran status.
or question somebody who may be
Stolen valor.
claiming that they're a veteran and are not. That's
Make sure
supposedly
you message Ajax Malamute after the show, please.
I got you, brother.
But
well, I'm about ready to wrap up. Nevermore, do you have anything more?
I mean, you listen to us. How ridiculous do we sound that we're saying pew pew and pew pew bang stick because we can't say the real word? I mean, that's how bad it is.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
And I'm liable to get flagged because it's on my mug, which you can get over at mydvstore.com.
Yeah. Look, if you want to...
I know I sound like an infomercial, but these guys have nowhere to go now to keep bringing in funds for these homeless vets.
Yeah, the DV farm.
We've been there
personally.
There are homeless vets there.
Rehabilitation program that takes in the veterans who are suffering from addiction, who are the worst of the worst, the guys who have failed all the traditional programs and nothing has worked. DV Farm takes these guys off the street, gets them through rehab clean, gets them to the farm, which is a long-term rehabilitation program, gets them back into the Veterans Affairs system so that they have medical care, gets them back into, help them file their claims if they're disabled, gets them back on their feet, gets them prepared to return to society sober and productive. And we've seen this work. We have met the veterans.
And here's the thing: there have been many rumors, and there's always going to be bull crap when somebody sees somebody else's success. When you see somebody else's success is better than yours, there's always going to be crap. I've heard such ridiculous things as there's not even homeless vets there, that it's just their friends and family. Well, guess what? I've actually been in his yard. I've slept in his yard. We camped out in the tent for the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. There's homeless vets there. There's animals. It's a lot of work. I don't know how they stand it. But they're taking away their platforms one by one so that they can't continue to support this. And I'm not going to sit here and, y'all can come in, not the ones in the room, but people later. Well, you shouldn't support dysfunctional veterans. They make veterans sound like we're just a bunch of raging maniacs. Go over to DV and actually learn a little something and see what they were about. And you'll see that the actual motto is taking dysfunctional veterans and making them functional again. So I would give you the bird, but again, pew pew bang stick censorship.
All right. Well, we got to wrap up. Freya's crying. She needs to go potty. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be live more frequently. This new toy, this new tool is going to give us some ability to do some things we haven't been able to do in the past, including multiple guests in a roundtable format.
We're even going to be able to invite fans that join weekly and interact. I'm not going to just pick some random person off the page that never joins the live shows, but we will actually be able to come on and interview you, see what your life's like with your service dog, what kind of area you're in. So stay tuned.
Yep. Thank you very much, everybody. We will catch up with you again very soon. Hopefully, we'll be doing this weekly. If not both of us, I certainly will try to keep this up.
It's going to be Wednesday nights.
Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 1900. If you're, not a potato. Sorry, military talk. No disrespect, but we have our own way of talking sometimes. Thank you very much, and have a great evening, everybody.
Oh, and by the way, haters, you can pound sand.